This episode sponsored by Lake Monster Details, producing the Don's Light and Magic Legacy line of parts, offering upgrade parts and decals for accuracy, special effects, and lighting. Visit www.lakemonsterdetails.com and make it glow. Also sponsored by G-Cals, producing aftermarket replacement decals and custom quality graphics for your favorite spaceships. Visit www.gcals.company.site and add some personalization to your sci-fi models today. Hey, what's up, fellow modelers? Will here, welcome to Model from the Engine's Chair. This is stage 2 of the Build the Enterprise D series from Eaglemoss. So this episode we're going to take a look at and pretty much get the modifications done on this nacelle. We're going to dabble in, and yes, I said dabble, in a little bit of a couple later issues, because in order to get this whole nacelle together, I need some parts from stages like 50 to 56. So we're going to work on that. Just give you a little look at what we're looking at. This is where I'm at now. I don't have this final assembled yet because I still have to get lights, some LED strips and that to put in here. Hoping when I go to final assemble this goes better together than what it's going right now. I think it's because the temporary wiring I have run in here is kind of keeping this from closing up all the way, but move this light over. But you can kind of see that coloring that I've done on here, the painting I've done on the grills to kind of get it closer to the filming model. So we'll get to this. We'll talk about the modifications I've made to this, and we'll get into some of the lack of details or inaccuracies on this stage. So give me a minute. I'll put you on the bench. We'll get to work. All right, here we go. So here is pack number 2 on this Build the Enterprise D. And yeah, let's just dive right into what's wrong with this stage. So we've got this nice big piece, nice big piece for the nacelle. It's metal. So that's good. It's nice and durable. When I first looked at this in the packaging and I looked at it, I thought there was a detail missing on the back here. But the more I looked at photos of the studio models, particularly the original models before the 6-foot was changed for Generations, this is actually correct. After Generations, I'll show you a picture, they added a detail back here. I'm pretty sure it was added for when they did the refurbishment of the 6-foot for Generations. But when you look at that back, you see that gray part around the, I guess it's formation light or whatever back there. That does not appear. I don't see that in any of the photos of the models until after Generations. So I think that was just a change that was made to the 6-foot Generations model. There is some reference when you read through some of the documentation on some of the websites about they had made changes, not just to the paint for Generations, but also they had added some details to give a little more depth, to cast shadows on parts of the ship to give a little more depth to the ship on the big screen. So I'm pretty sure that was added after, so that's not actually missing. That is correct if they're trying to stick to the way the ship appeared in the series. So that's correct. Now this part here, which is your front part, which again is another die cast part, which is obviously goes on the front here, is missing some details. There should be 3, I don't know if they're just recessed areas, and let me pull up a picture of that part. But yeah, so when you look at that, there's 3 recessed areas that are supposed to be on the front here. That appears on all 3 models as far as I could tell since the beginning of the series. So not sure why those were omitted from this build. That is a detail that is missing, and because it's a die cast part, that would not be an easy modification to make to this. So again, it is what it is. Some of this stuff is just going to have to, I'm just going to have to bear with it. The light, this bulb, and actually there's two parts I'm going to talk about here. This bulb and this, I don't call this a field generator coil or what this is, but so this is supposed to be for your formation light, and it'll go in the back here. It's keyed to fit in there a certain way, I believe. But it'll go back in there. It'll go in there and fill in the back there where your formation light's supposed to be. They did this in blue, and that's incorrect. This light is not supposed to be blue. And they did this in orange, clear orange, which means it was intended to be backlit, and that is incorrect. Both of these parts are incorrect. So they did send out, let me grab it. They did send out, some people said they got theirs along with pack 12. I didn't get mine until pack 13. But they did send out some parts that were supposed to correct that. And they send you this little pamphlet on replacing it and swapping those parts out. And you can see it actually came with pack 40, stage 45. And let me get my scissors so I can open this to get, let's see, this part in here. And then I need this part right here. So here is the replacement formation light, which they sent, now changed it to red. That's still incorrect. This formation light in the back, as far as I can tell from looking at photos, watching some of the episodes and looking back at photos of screenshots of the rear of the nacelle there, as far as I can tell, that formation light has always been white. So I'm not sure why they did it in red or blue at first, and then supposedly corrected it by changing it to blue or red, which is still incorrect. So that's going to have to be fixed. And then they sent this replacement part, which is still incorrect. This should be kind of a yellow with just maybe a slight orange tint, but definitely not going hunting in the woods orange that they've got on this. So that's going to have to be repainted and fixed. This part here is just going to go in my extra parts box because I have no use for it, as well as this blue formation light. What I'm going to do is I'm going to prime this and repaint it. And I don't have the paint pulled out, but probably what I'm going to be going with is that's an antique gold. The same paint color combination I used on my Enterprise C build, which is this golden ochre, which is kind of a darker yellow. And of course the camera's probably making it look a little brighter of a color than it is, but it's a darker yellow. And what I'll do is I'll mix a little bit of something. I don't know what color yet. I could try, that's not really an orange. I'll get something mixed with it. What I ended up doing with the Enterprise C was I did this and then came back over it with a transparent orange, just a light coat of transparent orange, just give it a slight orange hue. We'll see. I may do the same thing with this. I may just paint it this yellow and leave it because the studio model for the D does not have as much of an orange tint to it, if at all, as the C Enterprise C model, studio model did. So I'll paint that and take a look at it and see if I'm happy with it. And then if I need to, like I said, I can always add a little bit of that transparent orange over it just to give it the slightest orange tint. But we'll take a look at that after I get it repainted. This part here, we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, you also have the chiller grills here. And they've already colored them in blue. The only thing I'm really not happy about is that they broke it into 3 parts, which means now you are inevitably going to have a seam a seam on this. So I don't really know if there's much I can do with that. I am going to modify this part. Oh, look at that. It's not even, the ridges aren't even all the way around. They stop right here, and then you've got a flat spot that leads up and really, I can't even tell if that's a mold mistake or if they intended to do that, because this kind of flattens out a bit here to where you don't even have any grill to it. So I'll have to look at that. But at any rate, there I go with any rate. Sorry guys. But anyway, I'm trying to cut back on my saying at any rate, because I've had a lot of people, oh, you say too much. Okay, well, anyway, this part, I'm going to remove the blue from it. The blue is not molded into these parts. You can take it, any of these parts that are painted, or any of these parts that are in a tinted color, you could take them and you could take some isopropyl alcohol. You can use just, I think it's 91 or 92%. This is 99%. You don't need it quite that strong. But I ordered this off the internet. You can get the isopropyl alcohol from a lot of different places. I know even Ace Hardware had isopropyl alcohol, which is actually where I got the bottles, the gallon jugs from that I use for cleaning my 3D parts, printed parts. So, but I've got a bottle of this, and if you do this, you're going to want a container that you can put a lid on. Otherwise, this stuff's just going to evaporate as soon as you put it out. So let's break this open. And I'm just going to pour it into my tub here. Just enough to submerge these parts in. So that's probably about half the bottle right there. That should be enough. And you're also going to want a lid on this if you don't want your house or a workspace smelling like a medical facility. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these parts, take this red one, just drop it in there. And I'm going to take these blue parts as well. And the other thing you don't want is you don't want that alcohol to evaporate, and what it's going to do is it's going to leave. I'm going to have to add a little bit more in here. That one part's not quite covered. If it evaporates on you, it's going to leave a mess. So make sure that you put a lid on it, and just there we go. Got that covered. So we'll drop that. Now the other thing I'm going to do, and I haven't seen anybody do this, so I'm just going to take a chance with it. I know it's a big risk, but I am going to take this part and remove the red paint. I want to try to reproduce the appearance on the studio model. So if you haven't seen it before, let me show you the picture. Yes. All right, so you can see on that picture, you can see that, and this is a picture I took, by the way, from the 6-foot model when I was in California. But you can see that front is not a bright red. It's kind of subdued. It even has maybe kind of an orange tint to it. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to clear this part. I'm going to put it in and let it soak just like the other. I might as well just dump this whole thing in here because it's not nowhere near covering that part. There we go. So I'm going to take the red off of that, and these are going to have to sit probably a couple hours and soak. I'm going to take the red off of that front part as well, because I'll wipe my hands off. I don't want to get alcohol on these. I got the parts from, I think this was I don't know, 52 or 53 is when you finally start getting the inner parts for the busard. And you see these are already tinted red still. You've got like 3 parts here. This part, and this part slides in there, and then you've got this clear piece that slides in, and then the light bulb goes in there, or the LED goes in there. So I think it's going to be plenty of red. So I think I can remove the color from that outer one and still be good, and hopefully maybe frost that outer dome over, and if need be to get the to kind of replicate that slight orange tint to it, maybe frost or put a little bit of the transparent orange on it just to get that frosted. So I'm going to try it out. Just keep in mind, if you follow any of these modifications, you do it at your own risk. Don't look at me and say, oh, well, he told me that. You do any of these modifications at your own risk, because they could completely permanently damage the model itself. So just keep that in mind when you do these. You do them at your own risk. Don't come, pointing the finger at me later. This one in particular, like I said, I haven't seen anybody modify the busard collector like I'm getting ready to try to do. So I don't even know if it'll work, but I'm gonna give it a shot and we'll see how it turns out. So I'm gonna let those parts soak up. I'm gonna repaint this, and then we will come back and take a look at where we're at. All right, so I'll catch up where I'm at. So I did go ahead and actually redid both of these, the clear one and the one that wasn't transparent. But basically what it is, I just put some black light block it, make sure I wasn't getting light bleed through it. That includes the other part, because the other part was kind of, light would still kind of show through it. So you're gonna want to light block it a little bit. But this is the finished product. See if I can focus. A little bit more. All right, and there you go. So I'm not sure if that's going to look kind of bright. It looks a little bit brighter on my viewfinder here than it does in person as far as the yellow. But when I look at the pictures I took from the skirball of the 6-foot model, this looks pretty dead on to me. So I'm pretty happy with it. And basically what I did with it was I used this folk art. I keep having to adjust the focus. This folk art golden ochre, and I did 4 parts of that, and I did end up doing 1 part of this Pueblo, and I really like this Pueblo. It's really come in handy lately, so glad I ran across this. But so 4 parts golden ochre, 1 part Pueblo, and it gave it just the slightest hint of orange to it. So I think that's perfect. I think it's right where it needs to be, so I'm happy with it. And that's good to go. I've got a spare part now in case I ding this one up at some point, but hopefully not. So anyway, that part is corrected, and I did go ahead and soak all my clear parts in the isopropyl alcohol. I just left them in here overnight, and then came back the next morning and got an old toothbrush and just kind of scraped or brushed everything off. So once you do that, this is what the parts look like. This has a little bit of a blue tint to it. Not too worried about it, because I'm going to repaint it blue anyway with my Tamiya clear blue on the inside. So the reason why I removed it is because on these, the way they are, the blue coloring is actually on the outside of it. And what I want to be able to do is sand this lightly so I get some more light diffusion. Because some of the videos I've seen of people building these, you can see the lights through these. They're not very well diffused. So I want to be able to repaint this on the inside, lightly sand it on the outside. And then I've got, I do want to give credit every chance I get to myenterprised.com, because that's where I am getting a lot of this, the majority of my information from, as far as the modifications that are being made to this. So myenterprised.com. I don't recall if I've got the link in the notes, but I will make sure I put it in there. But going by that website, I ordered some 1/32 and some 1/64 tape, masking tape, or it's like an artist tape or something. And I'm gonna mask these off, and this is gonna get painted copper colored. So I'm going to get that done here when it comes in. Probably should be here either tomorrow or the day after, and I'll get that done. So in the meantime, this stuff's going to wait till then. I'm going to have to do some masking and some painting on it. But what I did do is, you can see I've got this part clear, and this is what it looks like once you just take all the red off it. Now this is actually one of the inner parts for the busard, and you'll see here on the outer, this is what I did with it. Trying to make it look more like the studio model, and it may not be exact, but it's pretty damn close. So again, in my opinion, it's pretty damn close when I look at the pictures of the studio model. So Basically what I did with this was I removed all the paint with the isopropyl alcohol, came over this and sanded the outside with 800 grit sandpaper, and then I clear coated it on the outside, and then on the inside I came in and I did some testing, and you see it here. I did some testing. Now this one here is actually my X29 clear orange, to me a clear orange, and then over here is just dusting of that that Pueblo color, and you can see they both come out pretty much the same. They get pretty much the same result, but I went with the dusting of the Pueblo because if I'd put too much on here, if I didn't like how much I'd put on, if I need to take it back off and then try again, this stuff will come off, whereas the Tamiya is going to be a little harder to remove. So this stuff here would come off with some soap and water and some scrubbing. I can get a toothbrush in here and scrub it out and do it again. And since I'm doing it on the inside, it's not going to mess with this because this is clear coated. So that's why I went with the Pueblo, because I can dust it. I get the same result as I do with the clear orange, the exact same coloring. But if I need to take it off, I can. So that's why I use that. But I think it turned out pretty nice. I like the way it looks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this inner dome and I'm going to sand it to get a little more diffusion out of it. And I think once I sand this, it's going to look even closer to what it looks like in the studio model. And give me a minute. I'm going to sand this and get a light test set up. And we'll take a look at how it looks and we'll compare it to a photo of the studio model and see what you guys think. So give me a minute. All right, guys. So I've got the domes all done here. There's that part. This is the inner dome. I've just sanded over with 800 grit sandpaper to kind of frost it. And I think when you look at this, I think it looks pretty darn close to, let's see, I'm gonna focus in here a little bit. I think it looks pretty close to what the studio model looks like. So let's see, this piece goes in. Doesn't really affect it too much. And then our lighted part goes in. And I'm just going to slide this in place. All right, so let me refocus this. And let's plug it in and take a look. And you can see it doesn't really affect the red at all on it. If anything, it kind of helps to diffuse it. Let me turn this light off. So now you can see that formation light at the back here that I've changed to white. And I'm getting a nice glow off the busard. So I think that's going to look really good. I may... I'll take a look at it. I may up that to 2 bulbs, but I think that 1 bulb actually might be good enough. Once I get the blue done on the chiller grills and see that lit up with it, I'll be able to decide whether or not I need to make some modifications as far as adding another LED to that to see if I need to brighten it up any. But if it's close matching what the chiller grills look like, then I won't have to. So, but I think that looks pretty good. I'm really happy with that modification, and I think it looks a lot closer to what the studio model does when it's off. When it's powered down, you get that kind of clear looking opaque, a little bit of an orangish tint to it. And then when it's powered up, you get a nice, that's a nice red. I like that color. So that's it for that part. I'm going to work on the chiller grills next, and hopefully we can get this thing put together and get a blue LED strip put inside and see what this looks like with all the modifications in place. So it's going to be either tomorrow or the day after before I get those parts in. So give me a little bit and we'll come back and I'll finish this up and we'll take a look at it. Stay tuned. All right. Grills repainted with my Tamiya X23 clear blue here. That camera's probably washing it out, but you can see it there, X23. So I sanded the outside of the grills with 800 grit sandpaper, and also did the inside too. And then I resprayed the inside with the Tamiya X23 clear. And what I might do is also do some more of that the frosting that I use for the windows. I think I might do a little bit of that frost on the back here too, just to give it a little more diffusion. But I don't know if you're gonna be able to make it out too easy. Let me see where my flashlight is. But I've oh, there it is. I have masked off. I'm gonna need to focus a little bit. I've masked off these grills, and you can see that light a little bit back there. You can see where I masked the grills off, and I masked it off using this I think it's 1/64th 1/64th graphic tape, which I ordered, and I got this off of I think I got this off of Amazon. So you can do 1/64th, you can do 1/32. And again, I just want to say that I got this idea from myenterprised.com. That build that's going on there. It's a good reference to use, and that's pretty much what I went by for this. So I've got that all masked off, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this out. And before I had used copper. I had used this metallic, full art metallic antique copper, and it's just a little darker than what I want to go. When I look at the studio model, it just seems like it's a slightly lighter color than this. It doesn't seem that dark. So what I decided to do for this is I'm going to actually use the folk art metallic bronze, which is a little bit lighter than the copper. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna spray that on here and let it dry, pull the mask off, and we will come back and take a look at it. All right, so you can see here I've got the that bronze painted on here, and you can see it's got a nice shine to it. It's a craft paint, and but the nice thing is about these craft paints, like I've said before, if you mess up, you can come back with some water and you can get all that paint off, and it's not a problem. So I've got this done, but I'm gonna let this dry a little bit more. I've got the other side, which I painted earlier, and I've already pulled the masks off of, so you can kind of see how that looks there. But it's got that bronze finish, and once I get this installed, you won't see as much of that blue on there. But the great thing about it is, let me pull my flashlight out again. I've demonstrated this before, is that light will shine through this with no problem. So, and it'll still show up blue. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this craft paint dries pretty quick. I'm going to let it sit a little bit longer, maybe an hour or so, and then I'm going to put, I've also done these other parts here. I'm going to let that part just painted sit about an hour, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to put a clear coat over the outside of this, because with the craft paint, like I say, if you handle it too much, and if you get it wet or anything else on it, it'll mess it up. So you're going to want to put a clear coat on this as soon as you get the masks removed. So I'm going to put a clear coat on this, and then, like I said, I think I'm going to go on the inside of this with some of that frosting just to give it a little more diffusion, and then I'll be ready to put this together. So give me a minute. I'm going to do that, and we'll come back. All right, so I finished the grills, and I went and jumped ahead. I cheated a little bit. I jumped ahead to, I think it's stages 14 or packs 14 and 15 to get the rest of the parts I needed to get this nacelle put together completely, so I could so I give you a better idea what it looks like finished. One thing I dislike, other than the inaccuracies on this kit, is the way they piece these parts out. To get this whole nacelle done, basically you start getting parts for it in stage 2, and I think you get something else in stage 15, and then you don't get anything else till like stage 50. And then you kind of get all the parts to finish this, at least this one nacelle, between stages like 50 and 56 or something like that. And it's, I just wish they had done this more like a sub-assembly type thing, where maybe they sent you all the parts for the nacelles first, you know, even if they split it up into different stages, do it that way, and then start sending you the parts for the saucer and the parts for the engineering section, all that. I just wish they'd done it that way versus the way they split everything up and you only get the bits and pieces here, you know. But anyway, I went and got all the parts I needed to get this together. Now, I've only got a temporary light strip in here. I'm not using the kit lighting, and I've got some blue LED strip tape on order that should be here in a couple days. So right now I've just got a temporary blue LED strip in here. Probably not as bright as the ones that are going to be final, but so you can see that that finish on the grills there, how that looks. It looks really good. I like the way it turned out. But so let's plug this in and take a look at it. Like I said, I just kind of got this temporarily wired up, so probably going to have some hot spots in it, but it'll give you an idea. Let me cut this light off. So as you can see, it's going to have a nice blue glow to it for the grills, and that busser collector is lighting up real nice. There is a little bit, I notice you can see a little bit of the back edge of that inner dome there that I frosted as well, but it's not that big of a deal. I don't think it's too bad. But so you can see this is how it's going to turn out with the modifications and that. Again, the lighting inside will be a lot more even once I'm finished, because I'll get a single blue LED strip. Right now I've got two short LED strips that I tethered together, wired in there, and I didn't stick them in place because obviously I want to be able to pull them out easy. So this one's kind of hanging down a bit, but it gives you an idea of what this is going to look like once it's all together. So but that's pretty much it for stage 2, guys, as far as the modifications that need to be done to it. Now, of course, you know, there could be some other things that other people come up with, and there are different ways to do this as well. Again, if you want to see more information on modifications, please go visit that myenterprised.com page. It's got all these modifications. I do my busard a little bit different than what he does on there, but he does show a modification for this busard that's pretty similar to the way I did it. But anyway, guys, that's it. I appreciate y'all tuning in again and watching this, and hopefully this helps some of you guys out that maybe are struggling with some of the inaccuracies on this kit. And if you find anything useful, please at least hit that like button below. Again, I want to say thank you to all my subscribers. I appreciate it. It's been subscribing and signing up. And make sure you hit that little bell icon if you want to get notifications whenever I put out a new episode of this. I'm going to start taking a look at stage 3 next and see what needs to be done with that. And I don't even know right now what we're getting into, but I think it's some more panels and that to do for me to do the resin. I think I actually already did the resin on it. That's the ones I showed in episode stage 1 or stage 1.5. But again, thank you everybody for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Cass over Lake Monster Details for sponsoring me and showing me some support, and Gus over G-Cows again for all of his support. Till next time, guys, keep modeling.